Salve Discipli, and welcome to week 12 of distance learning. Alright, so this is the final week of 4th grade Latin. So congratulations, you guys have officially made it through, and this is awesome. So instead of doing a super long, boring review packet, I figured it would be cooler to do a crossword puzzle instead, to help us review all of the grammar. Well, not all of it, but most of the grammar that we've done this year. Okay, so the purpose of this video, I'm going to go through the crossword puzzle with you. If you'd like to try the crossword puzzle on your own, you can, and then just check your answers in the video, and that's totally fine. But if you need a little more help, I'm going to be going over some things. Okay, so without further ado, here we go. Okay. So on your worksheet in your week 12 work packet, you'll notice that I've included your crossword puzzle that looks like this. Okay, and I've given you the hints. Whoops. Okay, I've given you the hints up here, and I've also included a word bank for your crossword puzzle to kind of help you out. So all of the answers in the word bank are answers to all these hints. Alright, so you just got to figure out which ones fit the best. Okay, in addition to that, there is the speed test, which, so sad to say this is the last one of the year, but please humor me and fill that out if you could. Alright, one last time. Until next year, of course. Speed tests will not go away. Sorry, guys. Alright, so if you would like to pause the video now and fill in the speed test, okay, then we'll go over the answers, and then we'll do the crossword puzzle, okay? So go ahead. And welcome back. All right, by now you should have filled out your speed test. So let's go over the answers. All right, as you might have expected, the answers don't change. These are the answers for the speed test. All right, so let's go through and sing our chants, okay? And please sing it with me, please. Okay, don't leave me hanging here. All right. A, E, A, E, A, M. A, E, A, R, U, M. I, S, A, S, I, S, 2. Now the first declension's through. Now we're on to number 2. U, S, I, O, U, M, O, I, O, R, U, M, I, S, O, S, and I, S, 2. U, M, I, O, U, M, O, A, O, R, U, M, O, R, U, M, I, S, A, I, S. That's the neuter second declension. Wah, wah. All right, so those were our noun endings that we talked about this year, but get ready, because next year in 5th grade Latin, we are going to learn another declension, the 3rd declension. Woo! And before you freak out, there's a song for that too, made up by yours truly. Okay, and let's do our verb chant, please. Okay, O-S-T, M-U-S, T-I-S-N-T. O or M means I, S means you, T means he, she, or it. Mus means we, tis means y'all, nt means they. Bombas bat, bombas batis bont. Bombas bat, bombas batis bont. Bobis bit, bimus bitis bunt. Bobis bit, bimus bitis bunt. Ole! Okay, so those were our chants, and yeah. Okay. So those were the answers to the speed test. Please learn them, love them, remember them, because they will only save you work later on. In addition to your vocabulary, which I'm sure over the summer you guys are gonna not forget, right? Right. Okay. So let's go through the crossword puzzle together. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to break it up kind of by topic. So instead of just going through these systematically, like down like that, we're gonna skip around a bit so that we can kind of discuss the same topic over and over. Okay? And we'll discuss the full topic. All right, so the first one I'd like to start with, and I'll highlight the one we're working on. So let's just talk about, where should we start? Well, first let's talk about nouns. Okay, so number 1 down. A person, place, thing, or an idea. Okay, the answer for that is noun. Okay, right? You know that from your English grammar lesson as well. So number 1 down, let's fill that in. 1 down is a noun. Okay? And just for you, so you guys know, I'm going to write in all capital letters for this one so you can see what's going on. Okay, so 1 down is a noun. Next. All right. So speaking of nouns, let's look at number 10 down. 10 down. The noun case used for subject nouns or predicate nouns. Okay. The answer is the nominative case. Okay, remember, nominatives are subject nouns. So number 10 down is nominative. Let's find number 10. There you are. Nominative. Okay, and by the way, if it's confusing for you jumping around to check your answers now while we're going back and forth and filling this in, don't worry. There will be a moment at the end of the video where I will leave you on this screen to check the crossword. Okay, so if you need to pause it, then we'll have the whole thing filled out and you can check it. All right, if this is confusing going back and forth. All right. Okay. Next. I'm looking for the one I want. Just give me a second. Aha. 18 across. The noun case used to show possession. Okay, and we know that the genitive case shows possession. Okay, there's also the, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. So 18 across is genitive. All right, so let's fill that in. G. T. I. V. E. Okay, so that's 18 across, genitive. Okay. Now, speaking of the genitive, this year we learned about the types of genitives. Okay, because there are a couple different types of genitives. One of them, okay, let's find it. Let's look at 24 across. Okay. It's the type of genitive that tells you where something or someone is from. Like the wine of Italy, right? It tells you that that wine originated in Italy. Or Magistra Slade of America, right? You can see that, of the United States. That's where I'm from. So that's what you'd say. Or Prince Arthur, King Arthur of Britain or Britannia, right? It tells you he's from Britain. He originated there, okay? So this type of genitive is, anybody? You remember? Aha! Genitive of origin. Okay, so 24 across is origin. 24 across is origin. You know when you look at a word so many times and it doesn't look like a word anymore? This does not look like a word right now. Origin. I spelled that correctly, right? No. Didn't spell that right. What is going on today? Sorry, guys. Doesn't look. That's why it didn't look like a word, because it wasn't one. All right, so that's one type of genitive. Okay, there were two other types. Well, we've talked about that one. The other one we're going to talk about is, just give me a second to find it. Aha! 7 across. The type of genitive that tells you what something is made out of. Aha! So if I have a sword of iron, right? You know that that sword is made of iron. The dress of silk, right? You know that the dress is made of silk. If I were to say the carpet of hair, ew, gross, but bear with me, you would know that the carpet is made up of the material hair, right? So same kind of concept. This is, you guessed it, the genitive of material. All right? So that is 7 across. Let's fill that in. 7 across. Material. M-A-T-E-R-I-A-L. Material. Yay. Okay, we're moving right along here. Smooth as can be. Okay. Now, in my examples, like I'll write down a couple examples of the genitive, what it would sound like if we were to translate it into English. Okay, example number 1, the book of the teacher. Okay, that's genitive of possession. You know whose book it is. It's the teacher's book, right? The book of the teacher. Another example would be the bed of feathers. Okay, the bed of feathers. It's a genitive of material. You know that the bed is made up of feathers, right? It's the material feathers. Okay, and another example is the tea of China. Okay, we know that that tea comes from China. That's a genitive of origin. Okay, so I'll label these here. This is possession. This is material. And we're going to spell that right this time. This is origin. Okay, but these 3 examples of genitives have one thing in common. The use of the word of. Okay? So, when we talk about, where is it? Is it here? Yeah. All right, so the key word, 21 down, the key word for translating the genitive, if you look at my example, is of. Okay? Because anytime you see a genitive, just automatically translate it with of. Okay, that's super important. And I know we did some translating this year, but next year we're actually going to be doing a lot more of it. Okay, so you'll see more examples of genitives in context, which is super helpful. And I think you'll understand it a little bit better having seen it. Okay, so 21 down is of. Let's fill that in. Here we are. Of. Okay, not oof, of. All right. Let's delete this. Goodbye. Goodbye letters. See you later. Okay, so that was the genitive. That was one big thing we spent a lot of time on this year. And don't worry, we'll spend more time on it next year. Okay, and same thing goes for all of this grammar. All right, if some of it was unclear this year, don't worry, because we're gonna be working with this stuff next year too. All right, so you'll be just fine. No panicking. No panicking allowed. All right, so we talked about the genitive. Now, let's talk about, where are you? I know it's in here somewhere. We're going to continue talking about nouns, but I can't find it, and I know it's in here. I can read, I promise. 20 down. The noun case used to show indirect object. Okay, so the case used to show indirect object, if you recall, is the dative case. Okay, and that is 20 down. So 20 down is the dative case. We didn't do work with the dative case this year, but I do want you to know that that's the purpose or the job of the dative, okay? We're going to learn a lot more about that next year. Okay, so dative, moving on here. Next. Shoot. Nope. Here we are. 17 across. The noun case used for direct objects and objects of the preposition that indicate motion towards. Okay. Now, direct objects, we've seen them this year, okay, and we know that that case is the accusative. Now, at some point during this distance learning, we learned about prepositions a little bit more. And prepositions require the use of specific cases. There are two cases you can use for prepositions. Okay, the ones that take the accusative case, like per or trans or in, right? That shows motion toward something. Okay. And also, I know that this might have caused a little bit of confusion. I promise when I get to see you guys and teach you properly, we will do some more work with prepositions. It's easier than you think. Okay, so the noun case used for direct objects, accusative, that's 17 across, is here, accusative. T-I-V-E, accusative. All right. So we'll do more examples of that. Just know, generally, accusative is for direct objects. All right, object of the preposition, that's just secondary. Okay, but remember that you move in the accusative. All right, and finally, we're going to talk about the last case in Latin. Okay, it's 5 across. The noun case used for objects of the preposition that indicate no motion or motion away. All right, and we know that, last but not least, is the ablative, right? Remember the chant? You move in the accusative and stay in the ablative, and sometimes you even move away in the ablative. Okay? We'll see more examples of that, I promise, next year. Okay, so 5 across is ablative. Let's fill that in. Wait a second. I am really losing my mind today, guys, because I spelt that wrong. I knew that was incorrect. Ugh. Ablative. I think Magister just needs more coffee. Whoops. All right, so that's the ablative. All right, so those are the cases. Now, to show you what that looks like, okay, check it out. These are the cases that we just talked about. All right, nominatives for subject noun. Genitive shows possession. Dative is for indirect objects. Accusative is for direct object and object of preposition. And ablative is also for object of preposition. Okay, so that's what we really went over. And the only other thing that I'd want you to add, if you can, is that the key word for the genitive is of. Now, to give you a little teaser for next year, the dative keywords are 2 or 4. So stay tuned because that is coming your way. Okay. So that's nouns. Now, how do we know what case, like how do I know that a word is in the genitive case? Well, this here is a list of the endings. Okay, in Latin, the endings of the words change to change the meaning of it or how the word works. Okay, so if I have the word feminarum, I know that it's genitive. Okay, whoops. If I have, oh, that's not what I wanted. The word filio, okay, I know that it's dative or ablative. Okay, if I have the word amicos, right, I know that that word is accusative, and therefore I know it's the direct object. Okay, so in Latin, just remember that 3 across, the thing on most Latin words that change are the endings. Okay, and that's something that's not going to go away. All right, Latin is a lot about focusing on endings. So 3 across is endings. Spelling is cool. Nice. All right. Okay, so that is one more thing about nouns I have here. Okay, now let's say I have the word, let's take the word for water. Aqua, aquae, feminine, water. Now, in Latin, there's a process where you take the word aqua and you just add the appropriate endings. So you attach all these endings to that word. Okay, so it would sound like this. Whoops, I keep doing that. Okay, you'd have aqua, aquae, aquae, aquam, aqua, aquae, aquarum, aquis, aquas, aquis. Okay, now what I just did, there's a word for that process. Okay, that process, or 2 down, the process of listing a noun with all of its potential declension endings is declining. Okay, declining. So that is 2 down. Here we are. Okay, declining. D-E-C-L-I-N-I-N-G, declining. Okay, so that's another space filled. Okay, now kind of related to nouns, we do have a part of speech, which we learned about this year, more particularly closer to the beginning of the year, 8 down. The part of speech that modifies a noun and can change its gender to match with any noun gender. Okay, now that, what's the thing that modifies a noun? It's an adjective. Okay, so 8 down is adjective. There it is. Okay. Nice. Now, in the beginning of the year, I kind of laid out a couple of rules. All right. So let's take this word, for example, aqua, aquae. Okay, that's a noun. This noun is a first declension feminine noun. And that noun, aqua, aquae, will always, from now until the end of time, be a first declension feminine noun. Okay, another example would be amicus, amici, masculine. Okay, for a friend, right? This word is a second declension masculine noun, and it will always be second declension and masculine. All right, let's do one more example. The word for the sky, kailum, kaili. Okay, that's neuter. All right, this word is a second declension neuter noun, and forevermore it will be second declension and it will be neuter. Okay, so if nouns cannot change gender, but it needs to match the adjective, then naturally the adjective has to change itself so that it can match with the very rigid, unchanging nouns. Okay, so that's what that means. We'll do, and that's why, for example, when you see like the word for in Latin old, right? Old is an adjective, but that's why when you see adjectives, they're listed like this: antiquus, antiqua, antiquum, right? Because this is masculine, this is a feminine form, and this is neuter. Because remember, there's only 3 genders in Latin: masculine, feminine, and neuter. And the adjectives have the ability to change themselves so that they can match. They have to match the nouns that they're going with. All right, otherwise they can't go to the dance together. Can't hang out. Got to be the same. Okay, so that's that. Let's make that a little bigger so I don't have to waste time. Okay, so that's that. Adjectives. Now, I think das ist okay. Just a couple more things on nouns. All right. 15 across, the abbreviation for subject nouns. Okay, well that one's pretty easy. Subject nouns, we would mark up as SN. So that would be 15 across. 15 across, where are you? There you are, subject noun. Ta-da! Okay. Next. The abbreviation for predicate nouns. Okay, that was 11 down. Predicate nouns are PRN. Okay, so if you see a predicate noun, that's what you're looking for, and that was 11 down. PRN. Nice. Okay. Silly me. Okay, what's the abbreviation for the direct object? This is just a review question for you. Well, direct objects are DO. Okay, that one's pretty self-explanatory. Okay. Now, let's move on to talking about verbs. Okay. Now, verbs in Latin, let's give you an example of what one would look like. Very simple. Amo, amare, amavi, amatum. Okay, and each of these have meanings. I love, to love, I loved, and loved. Okay, so most verbs will look like this. Okay, so let's answer this question here. Number 22 down. The number of principal parts that most verbs have. Well, if most of them look like this, right? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there are 4 principal parts. All right, so the answer for 22 down is 4. 22 down is 4. It's over here. F-O-U-R. Nice. Okay. All right. Now, verbs there are 2 kinds of verbs, okay? If you remember, there are action verbs and there are linking verbs, okay? An example of an action verb is I'll give it to you in Latin. Magistra ridet. Okay, this is an action verb. Ridet comes from rideo, ridere, risi, risum, meaning to laugh. Okay, so this one, magistra laughs, versus this one, magistra est rana. Okay, rana is actually the word for frog. She's so funny. Magistra and rana are describing the same thing. So this is a linking verb. Now, do you remember how we mark those up? Well, action verbs are V. Okay, so let's see where that is. The abbreviation, that's 19 down. The abbreviation for action verbs. So let's see if we've got that filled in, and I believe we do. Yep. Okay, there's 19 down. Okay. Now, 25 across, the abbreviation for linking verbs is LV. So 25 across is right over somewhere down here. LV. Okay? Next. Okay. Now, based on our knowledge of action verbs and linking verbs, let's talk about these. Number 9 across. A verb that tells what the subject is. Okay, well, an example of that, a verb telling what the subject is magistra est rana, right? This sentence is telling you that the teacher is a frog. It's describing the teacher as a frog. She is a frog, all right? Teacher, the magistra, and frog are the same thing, okay? It's linking the two, okay? So 9 across, a verb that tells what the subject is a linking verb. Okay, so 9 across, it's right here, L-I-N-K-I-N-G, linking. Okay? Now the other kind of verb that we have is the action verb, okay? And that type of verb is 17 down, a verb that tells what the subject is doing, right? So for example, in this sentence here, magistra ridet, right? This sentence is telling us that the teacher is doing something. She's laughing. Okay, that's an action verb. Okay, so action is the answer, and that's 17 down. 17 down, there. T-I-N-N. Okay. Next. So we've got our differences between action verbs and linking verbs. Now, a characteristic of verbs is tense. Okay? Now, tense, you kind of already know. All right? Tense is time. And you know 3 of them so far. We know the present tense, we know the imperfect tense, and we know the future tense. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now, in order to tell which tense a word is, you simply have to look at the ending. Okay, and the ending will tell you when this verb is happening. It'll also tell you who, right? Remember decoding verbs, how we did for a while in the beginning of the year? Okay, now remember, what kind of sheep go ba? The imperfect sheep, right? Because you've got ba in all the endings here. Check that out. Wow. All right. And what kind of sheep go bo? Bi. Bu. Well, that's the future, right? Because bo, you've got bi as your tense markers here, and bu. Okay. And then what kind of sheep say nothing at all? Present sheep. Okay. So imperfect go ba, future go bo bi bu, and present go nothing. All right. So tense is time, and we know, okay, present tense is the same as English. It's happening right now. Okay, the imperfect tense. Do you remember what we call the imperfect tense? Well, I'll tell you. We call it the wasing whirring. Why? Because there's wasing or whirring in each translation, right? So I'm a bomb. I was loving. I'm a bas. You were loving. I'm a bat. He, she, or it was loving. I'm a bamos. We were loving. I'm a batis. Y'all were loving. And I'm a bant. They were loving. Okay? And the future tense is a tense that hasn't happened yet. Okay? It's like the English. It's in the future. Right? You translate that with will. Okay? So those are the 3 tenses that we talked about this year. Now, let's answer some questions. 12 across. The imperfect tense marker. We know that answer. What kind of sound do imperfect sheep make? Ba. Okay, so 12 across is ba. All right. Next, the verb tense that has not happened yet. Okay, which one hasn't happened yet? Well, that'll be the future tense. Okay? So 13 across is future. All right. Next. 16 across, the future tense marker. Okay, well, I told you before that the future tense marker is bo be bu. What kind of sheep go bo be bu? Future sheep, right? But for this sake, we're going to just say be. All right, so the future tense marker 16 across is be. Did we fill in already? Ah, here it is. Be. Okay. Next. You know this one. 23. The wasing whirring verb tense. Which one's the wasing whirring? That'll be the imperfect. Okay. So 23. Here it is. Whoops. Imperfect. Okay, so that's 23 across. All right. Number 4 down. The tense happening right now. That'll be the present tense. Okay, so we've used present tense. 4 down. Right over here. P-R-E-S-E-N-T. Present. Okay. Now, okay, so now we learn all these endings here, all these verb endings, simply because it helps us to translate more appropriately, but also it helps to conjugate verbs, okay? And conjugating a verb is the process of listing a verb with all of its possible endings and translations, okay? So, like for example, if I were to take the word amo, meaning I love, right? You remember the 3 steps. You find the second principal part, the infinitive, you pop off the RE, and then you add your ending, okay? So it would sound something like this. Amo, amas, amat, amamos, amatis, amant, amabam, amabas, amabat, amabamos, amabatis, amabant, amabo, amabis, amabit, amabimus, amabitis, and amabunt. Okay, and then I would go through and I'd list the translation for each form that I just wrote out. Okay, and that process is called conjugating. Okay, so 6 down. When you find the infinitive and pop off the RE, you're left with the, okay, I didn't tell you that answer, but you should remember that gives us the verb stem. All right, and the verb stem is what you use to tell what is happening. Okay, so like an example, okay, amo, amare, amawi, amatum. Okay, so remember the rule. You go to the second principal part, the infinitive that ends in re, you drop the re, and left with me is the stem of the verb. Alright, so that is 6 down. Verb stem. Now in order to make it work, I think you have to leave a space. So VERBSTEM. See, I left a space here. I didn't fill that in. So don't fill that in. Okay, and finally, 14 across. The process of listing a verb with all of its endings and tenses. We know what that is because I just told you. That's conjugating. All right. So that's it. These are the answers to the crossword puzzle. If you need more time, on the screen you can pause the video and check your answers, but please make sure that you submit the week 12 work packet to me so that I can give you a grade for it and you can get attendance credit for this week. All right, but that's it. Okay, so that was 4th grade Latin. Congratulations to you guys for getting through 4th grade. I'm really proud of you, and I hope that next year I'll get to see you guys again, because I do miss you. But in the meantime, have a great summer, and I'll catch you on the flip side. If I will actually post the 5th grade website if you want to take a look at the vocabulary for that, but definitely over the summer, if you're looking for something to do, keep reviewing your vocabulary from 4th grade Latin, because you need to remember that. All right, it's going to help us later on. All right, so have a great summer. I'll talk to you guys soon. Walete, Discipoli.